Welcome to Red Eye. Hello, everyone. I am Tom Shalhoub. Let's check in with TV's Andy Levy over at the Red Eye Tease Deck. Andy.
Thanks, Tom. Coming up on the big show, Trump's team considers moving the White House press briefing out of the White House. Options for a new location include Siberia and Guantanamo Bay. Good choices. Plus, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus announces it will shut down in May. Sad news for the 60 suckers who will be born during the airing of this show.
Oh, yes.
And finally, Sephora will stop selling an eyeshadow shade named Druggy. Sorry, kids, if you want to look like a druggie, you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way. Tom?
Thank you, Andy. Let's welcome our guests. She looks forward to the bell more than Zach Morris. Fox Business anchor Liz Clayman. He works as a warm-up comedian, which explains his love of tearaway pants. Comedian Seth Herzog. His Yelp review of the North Korean flag gave them 1 star. Observer columnist Michael Malice. And he's turned his multiple personality disorder into a career. Sitting right next to me, comedian Giannis Pappas. Okay, let's start the show. The incoming Trump administration is thinking about moving the White House press briefings out of the West Wing to accommodate more than just the media elite. Trump's team says the demand to be in the room far exceeds the current 49 people capacity, so they're pursuing more suitable options like FedEx Field. Actually, it would be in the building across the street. Press Secretary Sean Spicer explained the possible move.
This is about greater accessibility, more people in the process. There's a lot of talk radio and bloggers and people that can't fit in right now, maybe don't have a permanent seat because they're not part of the Washington elite media. But to allow them an opportunity to ask the press secretary or the president a question is a positive thing. It's more democratic and it should be welcome.
Yes, there will be more non-traditional media outlets at press briefings, such as the Trump Times Picayune, the Make America Great Again Gazette, Trump One Get Over It.tumblr.com, and the Cat Courier News.
Oh.
Yeah. They're very pro-Trump.
Yeah, they like to grab that.
It's a cat. It's a cat.
Oh, it's a cat. I meant the cat. It's a cat.
You don't have to beep that. It's a cat. It's a name.
We all thought it. You didn't have to say it.
He meant the cat.
Trump has been a little adversarial with the media, which worries many journalists. But Jack Schaefer at the Politico says his presidency will actually be a boon for journalism. Schaefer writes, the carriers of the press cards ought to start thinking of covering Trump's Washington like a war zone, where the assignment is a matter of life or death. Adding, the harder Trump rides the press, the higher he elevates reporters in the estimation of many voters. It's journalistic spring. Yeah, I wonder if that's really going to work out that way. Michael, if it's press against Trump, who do you think is going to come out on top?
It is press against Trump.
Well, it is.
Now it's going to be a war of attrition. Look,
yes.
For centuries in this country, we had a partisan press. You had the Federalists at the beginning of America, and you had the Democratic press. And only in the last, let's say, 60 years, once the progressives had complete control over communications in this country, they present themselves as being objective as opposed to putting forth their worldview, which is often correct. And now Trump has unmasked that and forced people to take sides. It's only in this year that this network has been given a chance to host one of the presidential debates. The left has been able to completely control access to information and force candidates to answer their questions on their terms, and Trump is giving them the finger, and it's finally taken place.
There it is, Liz. Look, back to what Trump's, trying to give more access to more press. He's obviously, it's a little dig to the mainstream media, but I mean, isn't that fine?
Well, if you need to make room for YouTubers and bloggers, get a bigger room. This is a classic case of who moved my cheese. I mean, everybody, we hate change. Wait a minute, you're changing something? You're moving chairs? We've seen this over and over again. The press, listen, they're a little precious. They like their space, and they've had it before, but there is a fact, and I do believe Sean Spicer and Reince Priebus when they say that the room holds 49, and there are a lot more people now who really want to be included in this process, so they're going to move it. I don't see it as very threatening, but Donald Trump has been threatening to the press. He hates them. He's made no bones about that. Look, if you're afraid of the press, how are you going to deal with real-world fears? That's my only concern, but so what? Remember, though, guys, it was Hillary Clinton who lassoed reporters with a rope during a campaign, some 4th of July parade in New Hampshire, and moved them along like they were cattle. So nobody should be surprised about this. But yeah, they should do end runs around any president who tries to stand in their way and just do your job.
That's it. Giannis, if you live, it's his house. The White House is a house, right?
Yeah, it's not good enough for Trump. I think this is all ploy because he wants to build. He wants to make a Trump press room, put his name, build. He wants to build up.
And then charge admission?
He's gonna maybe. I mean, you know, maybe he'll make it into a business. But he's looking at it very unimpressed. He's like, we can get another 20 stories on this thing. Put my name. Yeah. He's gonna come out. His name's just gonna light up. It's gonna be a Trump press room.
Yeah.
It's going to be ostentatious.
Seth, I mean, today I was hearing, it seemed like the press was worried. They said, well, you know, whatever happens, we still have to have access to the West Wing. You know, it's a great tradition of journalists running around being able to ask Sean Spicer questions and things like that.
Right.
You know, they really, they want to be in there. They still want access to Trump. They don't want to have a war with him, do they?
Do they want to have a war with him? No, I think the press wants to have a war with him. I think the press, as you said, wants to have access to their sources.
Yes.
Like every, you know, reporter, as you see from TV, is sleeping with someone in the West Wing that they get like news from.
Yes.
So they still want to have access to their lover, whoever it is in the West Wing.
It is. It always ends up in a bed, doesn't it?
It's always in a bed. They're like, you said what about, is that really what's happening? Scoop a Rooney. But I think it's even more interesting that they just want to let in every blogger. Like, I have a blog.
You do.
Can I get in there?
You probably could.
I would love the whole press to be like 13-year-old girls just bored out of their mind listening to Sean Spicer.
Seth has a cat blog. Did you see how you were doing that paw thing?
I do
just
have
now?
a cat blog.
And then you talked about the cat magazine earlier. It's different word.
Yes, it's called all the time.
Wouldn't it be great if you just...
That's my motto. It's not my blog.
That's the name of my next special. Wouldn't it be great if you just had a fake news button every time, like you didn't want to answer a question, you just hit it, fake news.
But it lights
fake
up.
Yeah, fake news. Fake news.
Listen,
fake
But
news.
that's just any question that's not the question he wrote.
Right. Yeah.
But look, Michael, this is what Trump has been able to do, okay? Fake news came out, and this was a thing of like, oh, we're going to use this fake news to, you know, flag any pro-Trump news that's out there. Trump flipped it around, and now fake news is anti-Trump news.
And it's beautiful because he's taken a page from FDR, and instead of talking to the press, he's talking to people directly. FDR had his fireside chats, which is a big innovation. Now Trump's like, I'm going to go. Why would I need to go to the New York Times, who has a smaller audience than my Twitter? It doesn't make any sense on any level for him. He could put in his typos, watch people freak out, and thereby repeat his words over and over.
It's the fireside tweets.
Yeah.
But Tom, you know, in the end, you can look at this and simply say one thing. The Founding Fathers chose to protect one profession, not doctors, not lawyers, not politicians, journalists. So we all need to just take that, the collective we.
Yes.
We all need to, you know, take that pretty seriously and figure out ways to do our job, no matter who throws roadblocks in our feet. You know, the Obama administration did that to some journalists too. A lot of people at Fox.
He never stopped
McCarthy,
complaining about Fox
new.
News. He wasn't getting the coverage he wanted on Fox.
Too many Fox Newses in bars.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Hollywood is learning to love Donald Trump. Not really, but at least Zoe Saldana has a bit of a different take on the election. The Star Trek actress said of Tinseltown's response to Trump, quote, "We got cocky and became arrogant, and we also became bullies. We were trying to single out a man for all these things he was doing wrong, and that created empathy in a big group of people in America." And last week, Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise's girlfriend, they're still together, aren't they? Yeah, I thought.
They've been married for many years.
Yeah,
Children together.
She said in an interview, America should support Trump. Backlash ensued, and on Monday, Kidman clarified she was trying to stress that she believes in democracy, in the American Constitution, and it was that simple.
I was trying to stress that I believe in democracy and the American Constitution, and it was that simple.
She looks younger, huh?
She looks great. She looks 12. Meanwhile, singer Jennifer Holliday has withdrawn from performing at the inauguration after facing criticism. Specifically, an article saying her performance was, quote, heartbreaking to gay fans. I didn't know she had a gay following. And finally, Bruce Springsteen cover band, the B Street Band, has also dropped out of an inaugural gala. They explained, our decision is based solely on the respect and gratitude we have for Bruce and the E Street Band. Trump's transition team has already announced the B Street Band will be replaced by the C Street Band.
But they won't play out of respect for the B Street Band, out of respect for...
I know. And it's going to go all the way to E.
All the way to...
And then we're going to have to go to F, right?
It's going to go all the way to another language.
Well, Giannis, what do you think? Okay, he's not going to win Hollywood over, right?
Right.
So what should he do instead?
Call them fake news.
Press the
No,
button.
I think it's funny that like she thinks she figured it out. She's like, you know what? I figured it out. This is why you got elected, because of us. With Hollywood people, it's always about them. They have to turn it and make it. It was us. We made the mistake. That's why we turned into bullies, and that's why you got elected.
Well, that's, I mean, so you're talking about Zoe Saldana. She
That's
said,
right. I didn't even know her name because I didn't know who she was. Till
Avatar.
Wow. Wow.
I didn't know her
Did you
either.
know who she was?
Of course I know.
The blue
I'm only
chick
on
in
YouTube.
Avatar.
I'm YouTube
Only
and
on YouTube.
Snapchat.
Yeah, you're YouTubing yourself.
Yeah, I don't even watch TV. I'm
But
YouTube.
that's the thing is that, Seth, I think a lot of, a lot of people, pro and anti-Hollywood said yes. A lot of these celebrities with their testimonials and their earnestness that they did help bring out that kind of anti-Trump voter.
I think
I mean,
I think that's true, and I think it's actually bigger than just this one issue. I think there's a feeling, and I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm saying there is a feeling of people in the country who say, like, I'm sick of people telling me what to think and how to live. I think that's true.
Yeah.
And I think vote was a part of a backlash for that. So I think Zoe's not wrong. And I think.
But she got flack for it. Then, people started tweeting, oh, she's terrible. Nicole Kidman. I mean, the attacks from Hollywood for these, they strayed off the reservation because they said, hey, maybe, in the case of Zoe said, maybe we overreacted. And, Mrs. Tom Cruise said, that, this is democracy, we have to respect it. And, they got criticized on Twitter.
They did. And I think they were both making normal points.
Yes.
Fair point.
Just
Fair
being
point,
normal,
fair
right,
point.
Liz? But you can't do that anymore. You have to be, you have to be
The
extremely
most
anti-Trump.
disturbing part about all of this is what happened to Jennifer Holliday, and here's why. You can't perform at a presidential inauguration. Let us just look back in history. Jesse Norman, an African-American singer who was an opera singer, performed for Ronald Reagan for that inauguration. Barbra Streisand, gay people everywhere who adore her.
She also has gay following, I've heard.
Bush 41. She sang at Bush 41's inauguration. Can we not support the American process? And so Ms. Holliday, Jennifer Holliday, was chased away from doing this. I find this a very serious and disturbing story.
I think the point there is it's not just a thing of like performers can't perform for Republican presidents. I think this is a different case. I think that's what they're making.
That's it. Obviously, yeah. They're saying that this is a special.
I mean, George Bush didn't vote for Trump. I mean, that's how much this is a different case.
What Trump is the first time in 80 years where there's an attack on progressivism as a culture in this country. So they're circling the wagons, and what's happening is they're laughing. Look, no one can perform at his inauguration. What a loser. Someone says they're going to perform. They're like, get him! Yeah. Like, haha, look, no one's going to perform at his inauguration. They are terrified because he doesn't regard the enemy as just Washington. He regards Washington as the consequence of decades, the universities, the press, entertainment. These are all the methods that progressives use to impose their worldview on this country.
Do they know about progressivism? These people,
It's in the drinking water over there.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that I feel like it's a rejection just of the snobs or the elitists. To me, it's not really progressive politics as much as, the elites who they're sick of being told.
The voters who vote against this.
Yes.
Right, correct. But elitism and progressivism is synonymous. The whole point of progressivism is have the received truth, and now I'm going to colonize, and it's just domesticated imperialism. Instead of colonizing other countries, they have to colonize the Midwest and the South.
And since when did artists? I mean, artists almost never agree with. When comedians do corporate gigs, do they ever know who they're performing for or care? No, they just go and they perform, right?
No, and I would like to say that I am available. I don't like Trump at all, but I am available. I need the gig. I'll
do the
perform.
gig?
I would do it.
And that's the thing is they're not.
If someone asked you to go perform at the inauguration, you'd do it for $6.
6, come on.
7.
8.
$8.
$8, come on.
What is your actual price?
My actual price for Donald Trump.
I got my wallet.
We know it's high.
I'm gonna ask for a huge sum from Donald Trump, and then I expect to not get it and be sued for it later.
You just lost $20.
Right.
That's what I expect.
Right. Moving on. The super rich are super rich. According to Oxfam, an anti-poverty organization, 8 men have as much wealth as half the world's population. Yes, 8 billionaires own as much wealth as 3.6 billion people. Oxfam, which presented their findings ahead of the Davos World Economic Forum, says inequality is a major problem. Their executive director noted, quote, It is obscene for so much wealth to be in the hands of so few when 1 in 10 people survive on less than $2 a day. Inequality is trapping hundreds of millions in poverty. It is fracturing our societies and undermining democracy. The 8 men are Bill Gates, Spanish fashion magnate Amancio Ortega Gaona, Warren Buffett, Mexican businessman Carlos Slim, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, and
Giannis
Lou
Pappas.
That's close.
Don't step on his
After the inauguration.
After
maybe
the
Giannis. Liz, look, this is. What does this mean?
This is this came out of Davos, the World Economic Forum, which I've covered 8 times.
Yes.
And I can tell you right now that last year it was 62 people had the same amount of wealth as the lower half of the entire world population. Now it's down to 8.
Is it changing that much?
It has changed that much, according to Oxfam. So if you believe these numbers, I don't know how they actually put everything together. But who are these people? Michael Bloomberg grew up poor in Massachusetts, worked so incredibly hard. You're going to take it away from him? Carlos Slim, the Mexican billionaire, he was a Mexican stockbroker. He worked 15-hour a day. You know, Warren Buffett's father lost his job at the start of the Depression. The answer is not simply to take from the wealthy and give to the poor. The answer lies within the governments that are taking all of these wealthy people's taxes and misspending it. Because if you look at per capita spending, when it comes to education, the U.S. does it the most, and we have much lower grades than some other nations that are actually doing it smarter and better with incentives.
That's it. You know, Michael, these people have billions, but they spend it. I mean, Bill Gates, the Gates Foundation, he spends his money so wisely. Warren Buffett gave all his money to him.
Even if he's not spending it, it's sitting in the bank and the bank's investing money. The alternative isn't should these people have the money and give it out, or do you not want to have that money at all? To quote Thatcher, they'd rather the poor be poorer just as long as the rich aren't as rich. Inequality is a complete non-issue. And frankly, I bet you everyone on this stage has as much net worth as the bottom billion people on Earth, because they probably have 0 net value. I mean, people are desperately poor. And the alternative to 1 in 10 people surviving on $2 a day is 1 in 10 people not surviving at all. It's wealth that has created so much food in this country that starvation only happens when governments prevent that food from going to them.
So you're saying poverty is the problem, essentially, not inequality.
Correct.
There it is. Seth, I need someone to side with Oxfam. Can you do that?
I just think it's funny that this happened at Davos.
We're here.
What?
I think it's funny that happened at Davos.
Davos, yeah.
Where the only people at that meeting are the 8 guys they talked about.
Exactly. You're right.
There's a press release.
Can we come up with a way where all 8 of us can be in the press release together? Oh, I got an idea. Hey, all of us money is more than anyone else in the world. Let's talk about that for a while.
Yeah. Well, it's true. I mean, Oxfam shows up at this Davos thing, and then they're preaching to essentially the greatest elites in the world.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is that the thing? I mean, Michael makes a good point. It's not inequality. Who cares how it's distributed? The problem is the people who have nothing. Am I right, Giannis?
Right, yeah, that is the problem. If you don't have anything, that is a big problem. I was just surprised that it wasn't like nefarious, kind of evil guys. I mean, the 8 guys are like pretty good dudes, right?
Not Carlos Slim.
Well, is he a bad dude?
Yeah, he owns the New York Times, and he completely controls their editorial page.
Well, just the Americans. They're all good guys.
The Americans, right, the Americans. I wasn't talking about the foreigners.
But I don't Slim.
Iceberg Slim, Carlos Slim.
But Giannis, you do make a good point. These guys are not like the robber barons. They're out there helping the world. Bill Gates, I mean, everyone knows that he's, you know, at the very least, he's putting his money to work.
The robber barons did more for this world and this country than any of those 8 people, and you know this.
Don't forget about philanthropy.
Yes.
Every single
Carnegie?
one of these people have given a huge amount in philanthropic donations. Mike Bloomberg is unbelievably strong in that realm. You know, Warren gave it straight to Bill Gates, said, you're smarter than I am with this stuff. Go solve malaria, go solve polio. You know, a guy like Bill Gates has a true heart. He actually wants to solve the world's biggest problems and to soothe all of the pain. But you don't take money from those guys and then give it to governments that are unbelievably unintelligent when it comes to
better them having
distributing
it
them.
than governments. Of course, coming up, the Ringling Brothers Circus is closing up shop. It's a sad day for human cannonballs everywhere. The big top is coming down. The Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, which has entertained millions of people for 146 years, is shutting down in May of this year. Circus owner Kenneth Feld made the announcements on Saturday, citing, ironically, declining ticket sales after the removal of elephants from the show last year. Here's the story. Back in the year 2000, various animal rights groups, including the Humane Society, sued Ringling Brothers, claiming that for elephants, circus performing amounted to animal abuse. The lawsuit continued for years, but in 2014, Ringling Brothers finally prevailed in court because it turned out elephants loved the circus as much as we loved watching them. And the animal rights groups were forced to pay Feld Entertainment $16 million. Look at those elephants. Don't they seem happy? Of course they do. Nevertheless, the groups continued to harass the circus, and many cities got into the act, passing regulations making it impossible for Barnum & Bailey to do business in their area. Because of this, Feld put their elephants into early retirement on a preserve in Florida. Yeah, do they look happy? Not to me either. And guess what? Without the pachyderms, ticket sales for the Big Top predictably plummeted. Feld Entertainment cites a number of factors, including competition from YouTube and video games and the shorter attention spans of today's children. But we know the real reason. In the age of political correctness, the circus just isn't fun anymore. Michael Malice, why can't they leave us alone to enjoy the circus, the popcorn, the elephant dung?
I think the show has gone downhill since Rosie O'Donnell quit. To be fair,
Wait.
she was both the she was both the elephant and the sideshow. But
Who invited Trump? Throwing a Rosie?
I've got all the best words.
That was tied that to Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, come
He was
on.
like, it's over here. I'm going to stretch and bring that over here.
She's a human satellite.
But wait, the circus,
Human.
I mean, did you go to the circus as a kid? I did.
I was a young immigrant boy, and let me tell you, going to see Ringling Brothers in Madison Square Garden was one of the great memories of my life.
Yeah.
And what happened after the show with one of the clowns was one of the great things I'm glad I've forgotten in my life.
Apparently you haven't forgotten.
I remember how it
And I
started
thought I was
and
very
how it
gentle.
ended.
I thought we had a good time.
Wait, it's all, oh no, Seth, no.
Seth, I saw you kind of shaking your head during my monologue. Did you not agree with me? I mean, I think
Look,
these...
I don't know how much the elephants were having fun or not having fun or getting abused off stage and off stage. I do think they liked doing something, but I also think they like chilling, doing nothing. You know?
But look at them there. They love walking around in a circle.
Do they?
Yes, they do. They're social animals.
I would say
they are social animals.
I do miss the elephant walk on 34th Street every
Oh,
single year.
come on.
You can't do anything with elephants anymore.
remember that?
You didn't get the joke.
Did you see them in the preserve? Liz, you disagree with me?
Yes. Have we not evolved? You're forcing animals. Listen, at Cirque du Soleil, you can ask the person, do you want to bend yourself in half? Sure, I'll do it for money. You're not getting to ask the elephants that, but this is not what killed the circus. The creepy clown situation.
Oh,
yeah.
Really?
What happened this
she's right.
summer where these weird people in clown outfits were trying to abduct children, and I just think that we have moved well beyond this. Feld Entertainment, they are smart businessmen and women. They have seen this come and they have seen it go. They're making so much more money on shows like motocross and arena cross. The little motorcycle things. It's time to move on.
Wait, but Feld proved it when he said they cut the elephants out of it because of all the whining, and then the ticket sales plummeted because people love the elephants.
Yeah, but then you're taking out the creepy clown part. And then who wants to see a woman chew onto a rope and then twirl around with her hair?
I love that.
Yeah. That's just that kids don't want to know.
You
That's
sure?
just-
it was
I love the
elephants?
twirling woman.
He's probably just saying that to sort of, blame it on something.
That's right.
Oh, you think so? He's deflecting.
Elephants are the best part of the circus? No.
Just
People love the elephants.
Yeah, people
No.
love
Kids-
it. Kids love them.
Kids love seeing those
Tigers
elephants.
jumping through hoops all day.
Yeah.
Number one.
Okay, that's good.
If that would have been taken out, I would have believed that ticket sales dropped because of it. But I agree. I think it's an antiquated form of entertainment.
Yeah,
Kids are drone racing now.
yesterday.
You ask a kid, do you want to go to the circus? He's like, what? He's like,
He thinks this-
go
he thinks it's
away.
ICP.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Feld said that. He can't deal with he can't compete with the devices. Okay, coming up, Andy Levy returns with his fine-tooth comb. Halftime is next. And a brand new episode of the Red Eye Podcast is available. Subscribe on iTunes and on FoxNewsRadio.com. Welcome back. Time to find out what we got wrong and what we missed from TV's Andy Levy over in the Red Eye News Deck. Hey, Andy.
Hey, Tom, how are you?
It's good, good.
How was your weekend?
It was great, Andy.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Get
Andy,
a
you know,
room.
before you do your halftime,
Yeah.
you had a tweet that went so viral
Oh, yeah.
that it was not on just Twitter, but it was on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, if we put the Twitter up there, the tweet rather, And maybe you could explain to me why you think this tweet, which was from like a year ago, went so viral this weekend.
Yeah, well, I tweeted it, I think it was the day that, back in 2015, on the day that Biden announced he wasn't going to run for president. So I tweeted that, and then I retweeted it last week on the day that Obama gave Biden the Medal of Honor. And then I think what happened was somebody put it on, I guess, Tumblr first, and then added a thing about how this would really screw over Trump because he's got everything that says 45th president. And I think, and then it somehow migrated to Facebook. It's like it really was like a virus. It was like jumping species.
Yes.
And I think that's what made it really take off. But like all weekend, I just kept getting, my Twitter mentions were just people retweeting the tweet, but tweeting it at POTUS and at Barack Obama and at Joe Biden, as if that was going to make it a reality. Yes. Oh, the president's going to see this tweet and he's going to do this.
But there's one of the, what do you call those petitions?
Yeah, there's one of those change.org.
The change.org. They're trying to get it done.
I know. I don't think it's going to happen.
No. And it would be funny if it actually did, and then and then it came back to you and you said, I was just kidding.
Yeah, I know. It probably, if it did happen, wouldn't be the weirdest thing that's happened in this election.
Or this week.
Not even close.
That's what's bizarre. Trump may move the West Wing press briefings. Malice, you're absolutely right about the left controlling the press, but I also think this whole moving the press room thing I think they're full of crap when they say it's about needing more room. I think it's just all about gutting press access.
It's absolutely a complete lie, but the thing is, they don't have to tell the truth to the press because the press is not going to report what they're saying honestly anyway.
Okay. They should tell the truth to us, though.
They don't know what the truth is, so we can at least enjoy the show.
No, I mean the administration, the people that...
Yeah, they don't know the truth. They're just swinging it. You think Reince Priebus knows what's in Trump's head?
No, that's actually a fair point.
Come on.
Can't argue with that. Seth, I like how you said you have a blog, and then right after that, you basically said all bloggers are 13-year-old girls.
Yeah. I identify as a 13-year-old girl.
Really.
And if you don't treat me that way, then it's your problem.
Good for you. I'm not denying your agency. Liz, you talked about how the press needs to do its job no matter how many roadblocks an administration throws in its way, and obviously I agree. That's why I like Jack Schaefer's piece, because I think that's basically what he was saying, except that then he said journalists need to cover the Trump administration like it's a matter of life and death. That seems a bit much, although I guess it depends on just how much Trump emulates Putin.
Well, we take it seriously, but yeah, Putin, who's been known to be related to knocking off a journalist or two, which is not funny. But look, again, being a journalist myself, I'm very big on freedom of the press. And again, I go back to the founding fathers who chose to protect ours, because without that, you don't really have a true democracy. But in the end, this really all comes down to a couple of things. Number one, they maybe actually do want to make more room because Trump's an ego head. He wants more people telling his story and more people like the bloggers and like the sort of different off-stream media. Is that a word, off-stream media?
Off-stream, yeah.
But you know, give the press free food and they'll pipe down.
Okay, that is absolutely true. The celebrity stuff. Yanis, you said you think it's funny that Zoe Saldana thinks she figured it out that Trump got elected because of Hollywood being bullies. I'm not sure she was saying exactly that. I think she was just saying it contributed to it. I don't know.
I disagree.
Okay.
I don't think it had anything to do with it. I think Hillary's lack of charisma. I mean, everyone's looking for answers. They're like, the Russians did it, Hollywood did it. Like, did the Russians really? Maybe if the Russians hacked Hillary's charisma, that's why. That's why I won. Hollywood had nothing to do with it. I mean, you know.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
How do you not know who she is, though?
I don't know.
Because I am a YouTube guy. I'm a millennial.
You don't watch
a 40-year-old millennial. I don't know what's going on TV. I don't own it. I got Sling or whatever it's called.
What are you, Dan Ninen all of a sudden?
I pay 40
That's
cents
the
a
worst
month.
burn I've heard yet today.
Did you just call me Dan Ninen?
Yes, yes.
I am never coming back on the show. You could have called me Putin.
Seth, you said that the people giving Nicole Kidman crap for saying Americans should support Trump made good points. Except they accused her of endorsing him, which she clearly didn't, and it's kind of garbage of them to do that.
No, I meant the Zoe and Nicole were making fair points. That's what I meant.
Then I misunderstood.
Yeah.
Or maybe you misspoke. That's more likely.
No, you just didn't hear it.
Oh,
Yeah.
there it is.
All right. I prefer to think that you misspoke.
I know you prefer that they think that.
Yeah. We're in a post-truth era, Seth.
I know.
Battle.
Liz, you talked about how celebrities should perform at the inauguration out of respect for the American political process.
No, they should do what they want. But if they want to perform, are we in a fascist world now that somebody steps up and says, oh, sure, I'll perform, and then suddenly they're berated and beaten down for this?
Well, that's the thing. Didn't Meryl Streep talk about how awful it would be if we got rid of Hollywood because then we'd have nothing but football and mixed martial arts, which aren't the arts? If that's the case, how dare these artists deprive us of their performances at the inauguration?
It's a little precious, isn't it? And having grown up in Los Angeles and seen everybody, you know, grew up with a lot of the people in Hollywood, yeah, they do take themselves a little too seriously. But again, if one of them wants to support one candidate and another wants to, this is a free country. I just hate this tone. I really do.
All right. 8 men have as much wealth as half the people on the planet. First of all, you guys, I guess you don't agree with me, but this to me is highly problematic. And I don't see how you guys don't see that.
Please, read Atlas Shrugged.
I'm talking about the fact that I'm not one of the 8.
Yes.
Hater.
Seth, you said you were surprised this came out at Davos, where the only people in the room are these 8 guys.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking it probably made most of the people there feel really insecure.
the other 4?
Yeah, well, like suddenly all the people there who only have like, 10 billion are like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah, they now are going to poison all the other dudes.
Yeah. A lot of poisoning going on.
A lot of poisoning. It's the hot new way to kill people.
Yeah. Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey are ending the circus. Seth, what was the elephant walk on 34th Street?
Oh. Do you not remember the elephants were too, the cages were too big to go through the tunnel, so they would walk them in the middle of the night from the Midtown Tunnel to Madison Square.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we all love being woken up in the middle of the night to walk into Penn Station.
That's not what I thought elephant walk meant. I thought that's when you pull your pockets inside out.
In your locker room, it's a different.
Well, that's what the clown did to me.
Come on.
But it was really beautiful to see on the 34th Street.
It was great. That was
all
great.
these elephants.
Another tradition.
Majestic.
All right, last one. Liz, you said at Cirque du Soleil you get to ask people if they'll bend themselves in half, and they say, sure, I'll do that for money. I believe that's only legal in certain counties in Nevada.
In Thailand, it's illegal everywhere.
Fair point. I am done.
Thank you, Andy. Coming up. When will flying cars become a reality? Hopefully never. I say flying is for the birds. To quote Back to the Future, roads, we don't need no stinking roads. I think that's the line, isn't it?
Yes.
Aircraft maker Airbus says it will test a prototype for a flying car by the end of this year. The prototype, seen here, that's not it. There it is. Ooh. The prototype would be self-piloted, and the idea is that customers would book their rides using an app, the way they do with Uber or Lyft. The CEO of Airbus envisions flying vehicles eventually carrying multiple riders like buses or subways. One noted, 100 years ago, urban transport went underground. Now we have the technological wherewithal to go above ground. Liz, does this strike you as a workable idea?
I don't know, but in my mind, I'm thinking the line was, where we're going, there are no roads.
That might have been it. Yes, that was closer.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
That's all you, as I read the story, you were just like, I've got to get that quote right.
He so clearly didn't read the right line, but you're like, what is the right line?
It's like, oh, I got distracted.
Good journalist.
Is this
Gotta get it right.
workable? Have you seen the lines at the DMV anyway?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we put people behind these flying
they're
cars?
self-driving.
There's actually a company already out there called Terrafugia. I think it's a bunch of guys from MIT. They've already gotten some applications approved by the FAA. This is a recipe for disaster.
Disaster, that's what I think. Wait a minute.
Disaster.
But Michael, you seem to be into this idea.
The cars are self-driving, so this is going to stop people from having like drunk driving and all this other stuff.
Well,
so it's
drunk
wonderful.
flying.
Drunk flying.
But
I got something that'll really make you fly. But I think this is great.
you do.
But you're not driving. Isn't the whole point that you're not driving the car, that the car's driving itself?
But where in the air is this thing going to be? Up in the clouds, or is it going to be just kind of skimming above the buildings?
Where in the
I
air
care.
you're flying?
Oh, it's
Gonna hit skyscrapers.
No, it won't. It's a machine. Computers don't hit skyscrapers. Only human beings do that. And
here's the problem.
Muslims.
You want to know what the problem
I
is?
want to know what the problem
I'll
is.
tell you why it's not a workable idea. So once you start having the flying cars, who's going to want to drive? Everyone's going to want to fly.
Yeah.
So they'll make it more expensive. So only the rich people can fly.
That's not how
What do we
capitalism
start
works.
doing? Start shooting them right out of the sky. Out of envy, out of jealousy and anger, just start shooting them down.
Yeah, you get mad. I mean, do you remember how mad you were at people who, the first cell phones?
Yes.
Those snobs walking around with those cell phones?
Absolutely. I was walking around with a rotary phone. I was like, what's going on?
Terrible.
Where do I plug this thing in and use it?
Yeah, I don't see. Seth, here's
Yeah.
the thing. When a car stalls,
Yeah.
you call AAA or whatever you do, but you stall. You're okay. You live. When an air car stalls, everybody dies.
Not everybody.
What?
Most.
Most.
I
Only
feel
the
like,
weak people.
Some.
But I feel like the cars they're talking about are like buses. It's going to be like buses moving from place to place, landing from place to place. I think it's a great idea. I just don't want to be in the first year of it happening.
Yes.
Because there's going to be a lot of accidents.
A lot of accidents, a lot of problems, and I think you're right. The way they're going to have to do this would have to be buses, and no one likes buses. They don't want to. They want to do their own thing. That's why they want to be on the ground with their car, turn on the radio, have a good time, right, Giannis?
Absolutely. That's how you can pick up chicks. What's your cool new, car plane look like? You can't pick up a
Yeah.
chick in a bus plane
No.
car. You
Yeah.
need like a Camaro plane car.
Yes, it's got to be the individual. Okay, coming up. A poorly named eyeshadow gives a cosmetic company a black eye. Coming up tomorrow on the next Red Eye, Chris Hahn, Joe DeVito, Megan Hanley, and Mike Baker. People are upset at cosmetics retailer Sephora for selling eyeshadow in a shade called Druggy. An online petition is demanding the product be taken off the shelves, saying it's insensitive to people who are struggling with addiction. The petition suggests a few names that would be preferable, including voguish and venomous. Thanks for the suggestions. Sephora said it will not reorder any more of the Druggy shade and tweeted, "We deeply apologize to anyone who was offended by the name of this shade." Liz, look, what do you think of this? I mean, these, the shades of makeup, they're always a little bit cheeky, aren't they?
Oh my goodness, we are not back in the 70s with Jean Naté. I mean, no, they've tried to come up with some edgy names. Who cares? You want to change that? Then do you change the NARS blush called Orgasm?
Oh,
Oh.
that
actually exists. I think this is so dumb and so ridiculous when you start needling people over these names. Although there was a lipstick that had been banned called Underage Red. That is a true story.
Ah, yes,
Yeah.
that one's. I mean, it's Giannis, what do we do about this? Is it insensitive to people to druggies?
No, this is ridiculous. I got to admit, this is ridiculous. And it's not like druggies are ever going to know about this, so they're not going to get offended. Druggies aren't buying eyeshadow. They're doing things to get money for drugs. There's nobody be like, you know what, I'm going to budget in eyeshadow with my crack. It's like, no, all my money's going to crack. I have no idea what eyeshadow's called.
Yes.
Because I'm high all the time, because I'm a druggie.
Yeah.
It's true, and he makes sense, Michael. They don't. These names, they're just for for a catalog. It's like the names of colors in a paint catalog.
Why does a druggie have to be someone struggling with addiction as opposed to someone thriving with use?
Yeah, someone fun.
I mean, this is someone who's experiencing life at their fullest for a shorter amount of time. Problem solved.
It's like, yeah, why is there a pejorative term on the term?
That means they're
A
edgy and
druggie.
cool.
Then
Who would you want to be in high school, the hall monitor or the druggie?
Well, they were. I mean, do you remember in high school, Seth? They called the druggies. They were kind of like the kids in the smoking area. They weren't really. Yeah, I mean, maybe they were druggies, but
They were doing drugs, and that's where you bought your drugs from the druggies.
That's what they
how
did
you
in the
knew where
smoking
you bought
area?
your drugs from.
I didn't know what they were
I just
doing.
think it's funny that they give you an eyeshadow called Druggy. Who doesn't want to look skinny? Isn't that the point?
Exactly.
It
You
does
want to
take
look
a few off.
emaciated a little bit?
The answer to that question is Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh, he is really bringing it.
Very special thanks to Liz Clayman, Seth Herzog, Michael Malice, and Yanis Pappas. That does it for me. I'm Tom Shalhoub. I'm going to see you next time.